All right, let's dive into one of the biggest, most powerful themes in the entire Gospel of John: eternal life. I mean, it shows up right in the first few sentences and really drives the whole story. So, what did the author really mean by it? Let's break it down. And right from the get-go, in the opening of the book, we see this connection. The author tells us that life isn't some vague, abstract thing. No, it was in a person, in the Word. This really sets the stage for everything that's about to unfold, tying this concept of life directly to Jesus. So, to really get our heads around what the Gospel of John is talking about with eternal life, we've got to look at how the book itself defines it, and maybe more importantly, where this life actually comes from. Now, this is super important. The Gospel uses a very specific Greek word for life, zoe. And according to the source material, every single time you see this word, it's not talking about your heartbeat or breathing, your biological existence. It's pointing to something else entirely, a special, spiritual, eternal kind of life. So where does this Zoe life hang out? Well, the text is crystal clear. Its location, its home base, is inside the Logos, or the Word. This eternal life isn't just a cool idea, it's physically located in a person. You find it in him. And that brings us to a really key point. If this unique life is found in the Son, well, then it makes sense that he's the one and only source of it, right? The gospel presents him as the singular giver of life, both when it comes to creation and to salvation. This slide breaks it down perfectly. Think about it in two ways. On one hand, the Son is the one through whom all physical life, everything in creation, came to be. But on the other hand, and this is the crucial part, he's also the one who gives that spiritual, eternal life, that Zoe, as a free gift to people who need it most. And look, the stakes here could not be higher. In that super famous verse, John 3:16, the alternative to getting eternal life isn't just, fading away. It's perishing. The source material says this word is tied to destruction. It's a stark choice, life or perishing. Now, what's so cool about John's gospel is how it explains the way to get this life. It doesn't just hand you a rule book. Nope. Instead, it tells you stories of real people with real problems who came face to face with Jesus. And this sets up an amazing contrast. So, let me ask you, back in that culture, who would you bet on being closer to God's kingdom? The top-tier religious scholar, or a woman completely rejected by her own society? And bam! The gospel just totally upends what everyone would have expected. You have Nicodemus, the ultimate insider, a teacher of Israel, and he's completely confused and humbled. And then you have the total outcast, the Samaritan woman, who is honest and open, and Jesus lifts her up. It's an incredible reversal. You see, this whole episode is illustrating a major theme that runs through the entire Bible. Getting access to God's grace, to this eternal life, has nothing to do with your social status or how religious you look on the outside. It's all about the posture of your heart. It's about humility. But we can't be too hard on Nicodemus because his story doesn't end there. The source makes a great point that he did eventually get it. He was humbled by that encounter. And later on, we see him sticking up for Jesus and even helping care for his body after the crucifixion. His story shows us that this path is open to literally anyone who's willing to be humble. Okay, let's shift gears to what is, honestly, one of the most mind-blowing ideas in John's gospel. This whole eternal life thing, it's not just something you hope for after you die. It's a reality you can have right here, right now. Yeah, there's a fancy term for this, realized eschatology, but all it really means is that the future has broken into the present. The source really hammers this home. For someone who believes eternal life isn't some prize you get way down the road, it's something you possess in the present tense. It's yours now. And here's another game changer. The quality of this life is way more important than the quantity. We're not just talking about living forever and ever. We're talking about a kind of relationship that starts now and just happens to last forever. And don't just take my word for it. Jesus himself lays it all out. What is eternal life? He says it's to know the Father and the Son. That right there proves it. It's a deeply personal, relational thing. It's about connection, not just continuation. And get this whole now thing, it cuts both ways. Just like believers have eternal life now, The source points out that those who don't believe are described as already having the wrath of God on them in the present. The consequences, both good and bad, start immediately. So that begs the question, right? Why? Why write all this down? Why these specific stories, these particular teachings? To wrap up, let's look at the author's own reason for putting this whole book together.
See, the author himself admits he could have written about tons of other stuff. The Gospel of John isn't just a random collection of stories. It's a carefully curated account. Every single miracle, every conversation was chosen for a very specific purpose.
So what's the goal? Why these stories and not others? Why this intense focus on the theme of life? And there it is. The author comes right out and tells us. This is basically the mission statement for the entire book. He says, I wrote all this stuff down for one simple reason, so that you, the person reading this, might believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing that, you could have the very Zoe, the very eternal life that we've been talking about this whole time. So let's end with this thought. If eternal life is less about an infinite timeline in the future and more about a real relationship, about knowing God that starts right now, what does that change for us today? What does that challenge us to go after? Not someday, but right here in the now.